Oh, what an exciting time it is for Fuji users now. Oh, what an exciting time. The X100V is doing great. We are hearing stories about the Xt50. And we have finally, the Xt5 is a mature camera. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you how in this video. Welcome to Frames TM, and let's start the conversation on Fuji Xt5. When I got this camera about 1.5 years back in 2022, and I think it was in November or December, I don't exactly remember. The one thing that I had was that initially when I thought the autofocus was actually much better than the Xt3, but then it was not at par with the Z8 or the Sony. I mean, I've been using the Sony A7 IV, so it wasn't at par with the other cameras, whether Nikon or Canon or Sony. But then the clear difference between the Xt5 and the Xt3's autofocus told me that, I was quite happy. The new files were so good, the colors were so good. I got classic chrome for the first time. I got ibis in a Fuji body for the first time. I was loving the experience, and I had completely ignored the fact that it did not actually accurately autofocus consistently. But then we got the next firmware update, and then we got version 2. It was slightly better. It wasn't perfect. It was slightly better. And then when I used the F-Log, I loved the color output of F-Log. Every time I use F-Log, especially F-Log 2, I loved it. The problem was I could never feel confident using Fuji for video because it just doesn't have tracking. It has subject detect, as in it'll detect a person. But if I don't want to track the person, I do not have any control on what this camera is going to focus on. It basically was going to focus on what's in the center and what's closer to the camera. But that's not how you shoot videos often, right? You want a bit more control. And you never know when you will actually need touch tracking on video. So I kind of never used Xt5 for video that often. I only used it for these YouTube videos when the camera is on a tripod. I use Xt5 often for, I think I used the Xt5 for 6 months before I started using N-Log from the Z8 and the ZF. So that was my problem. And in the new firmware update, my biggest source of happiness is the fact that we have touch AF in video, and you can now enable the white tracking function from your menu settings, and you can just touch the screen and focus on whatever you want to focus on. Additionally, that's not where Fuji stopped. I'll talk about now the most important updates. Again, the AF tracking performance has actually been improved, all right, in AFC mode, even in photo shooting menu. So first you got a fantastic power being unlocked for video shooting. Then now we have a slightly more accurate, slightly more consistent and reliable AFC mode and tracking in that. But then Fuji decided to give us more. Actually, the update list length is 12 points long, but I'm not going to talk about everything. I'm going to talk about what I am most excited about, and I'm going to talk about what I think you should be most excited about. This camera now has a high temperature mode essentially. So it didn't have it. The Sony cameras have had the high temperature mode for some time, where it can let you choose between a normal temperature cutoff mode and a high temperature cutoff mode, where the camera can get a bit hot, but it's all right. You're willing to take that risk, and you let the camera keep recording even when the camera tells you that the temperature inside the camera body is slightly high. So I have enabled that the first thing when I updated the firmware to version 3.01, because I think that's important. Now, a convenience feature that Fuji added this time is that after this firmware update, you can actually update the camera directly from the app, Fujifilm X app, which is great, which is really, really cool. It just really, updates should happen automatically. Honestly, you don't need to download something from the internet and then put it on your card and transfer it on your camera. It's just too much. But now going forward, you can do that directly from the X app, which also means that we're going to see more firmware updates. Nice way of letting us know, Fuji. Nice. So I think now that this camera is actually slightly better autofocusing camera, I think it's time for us to discuss and revisit the Nikon ZF versus Fuji Xt5 comparison. Yeah, the ZF is still slightly longer and larger, slightly heavier, much better built. But I'm very curious to see now that the autofocus is kind of better, and definitely for video, I'm going to use the Xt5 more often than the ZF. I'm very curious to see how they stack up now. So I'm going to probably do this comparison quite soon. So stay tuned for that. If you like this video, please subscribe. I've decided to spend more time on YouTube and create content that, helps people, create content that interesting, and create content that interests me. So if you would like to be a supporter of the channel, probably give me a coffee tip or a tea tip, because I don't drink coffee, and like this video and subscribe. It really doesn't take anything from you. And if you're coming here new for the first time, check out the other videos. You just click on the channel name and just go inside the video list. I have quite a few videos on Fuji and Nikon, a bit of on Sony and other stuff going on. So maybe you will find something that's worth your time. I'm going to see you soon with another one very soon.